Hey guys, welcome to the episode of Coffee is for Closers. Matt and James here today. Yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of a different one today, a little of a back and forth repertoire. Me and James have a slightly different opinion on something, which is good. Which we actually have all the time, but you guys don't get to hear it very often. Most of the time, it's just James massaging my balls.
I think we tend to agree on it in 99% of the way, except the disagreement is probably on the application and when and where to use or to look at this. And I probably look at it from a different point of view as opposed to what you do, because of the hats that we have. So it'd be interesting to debate, argue, because I'm all for changing my mind if you can convince me to.
You're like Stephen Crowder behind a white table.
I don't think you can convince me.
Oh, I started changing your mind 3 years ago.
But I think you can convince me in situations, but not enough to change my mind.
Ooh. All right, cool. Well, a man convinces against his will is of the same opinion still. So
yeah,
let's start the inception.
If you got something good enough to change my mind, I'll do it. I'm all for moving forward.
Yeah.
If you listen to this podcast, you will make your first million within 3 years. I'm going to repeat that. You will make $1 million within 3 years of the first episode you listen to. We don't want pikers. We're not here to save the manatees. We're here to make podcasts. You really want this. You listen and review.
Put that coffee down.
Well, the topic of today is what is a qualified prospect?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a qualified prospect is anyone who can benefit from the program.
Yeah, I think a qualified prospect is a couple of things. One, somebody has funds available, access to funds to purchase the product. Two, they will receive benefit from that product, or that product has tangible benefits for that person.
Mm-hmm.
And three, they're in a position to utilize that product to its potential.
Well, I think the first two are the same thing.
I think they're
the second two. The second two are the same thing. So anyone who can benefit from it has to be able to get an ROI in whatever that looks like. Right. So,
I agree. And I'll go into more detail about the distinguishing features, like from my perception later. But
yeah, for sure. The first one has access to funds. Now let's break that down a little bit. So are we talking about has access to the funds for the entire program, or access to funds for the initial payment that it takes to get started?
For the initial payment to get started.
Okay. And what does access to funds mean?
They have money on their credit card. They have the cash in the bank account.
What if I get someone to sell their car?
Then go for it.
Okay. So we have the same outlook, because I just have an outlook that everyone can be resourceful enough to get to get the money.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think that money is a particularly hard thing to get if you are being resourceful.
Yep.
So like for me, like it's not up to me to dictate what someone's willing to do to get money. Right. And so like, I think that like this phone costs $2,000. If a sales coaching program was $3,000 and I made not much money, right? But I could sell my phone, buy a flip phone, make $1,000, buy a flip phone for $100, make the same level of sales call on a flip phone that I can on a normal phone, and then put $1,000 down towards a sales coaching program. I think that's a good investment.
Mm-hmm.
So, which brings me back, like anyone who can benefit from the program is a qualified prospect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And whilst I agree with you in most part, the reasons why
there's a well thought out argument with tangible examples.
Yeah, it was good. And I come at a disagreement point of view from a area of more administration and business. Right.
Yeah, you're worried about people not making the second payment.
Absolutely. Because you're very good at debating.
Great.
You're very good at selling people. And you could convince me to sell something. And here's the thing. I'd say, and with not putting tickets on myself, that me and you probably are the type of people that do what it takes to make shit happen. Therefore, if I needed to sell a phone, I would do it. However, I don't believe in a general consensus that most humans are in that 1% that can make it happen. And therefore, in most situations, I believe that they would probably fail their second payment, and then they would leave the program and not be able to finish it, or not get the two tangible things that I said later, the benefit, and have the resources to apply to that program. Therefore, which is usually, in most cases, going to end in either a refund or somebody exiting the program and not completing the contract. Mostly because I don't believe people are good enough to do that. However, and I agree with you on the fact in selling them into that for the one and one reason only, that I believe those people should be given the opportunity to find out for themselves if they are that person that can make shit happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like the way that I look at it is like, all I can do is help people put themselves in the best position possible to be able to achieve their outcome. I can't make them do it.
No. And that's
right?
one
And
step
so,
closer to it.
Yeah. So like the way that I see it is like, okay, well, I've put myself in situations where I was not in the best spot financially or time wise, or like committed to things that make life difficult in general in order to get a very particular outcome. And so like people don't see the benefit of doing that until they do it and come through the other side. But it doesn't mean that like the first time you do it, you win. Like, which is an important part of some of the analogies that I do when I'm selling people, which is like, if you're on an island surrounded by water, yada, 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 you got to pick a direction, start walking. Now, the reality is sometimes you drown. So like, I don't ever guarantee outcomes for anybody. There's all you can do. And so all the positioning that I do when I sell is not about getting an outcome, because I don't believe that selling a particular outcome is a good idea for the prospect, the salesperson, or the account holder. I don't think it's beneficial, because like the only things that are guaranteed in life is death, taxes, and that when you die, you pay more tax. That's it. However, all we can do as people is what it takes to put ourselves in the best position possible to achieve our outcome. And so if I believe that the program that I'm selling is beneficial to that person, then, and I believe that it puts them in the best position to give them the outcome that they want, then I think I'm doing them a disservice by being a pussy and not selling them into it.
Yep.
Because like Einstein has a great quote, which is, we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them.
I agree. Absolutely.
It's not really that I think I'm right. It's just that I agree with Einstein.
No, I think you're right, but I think you're wrong. All right. Even if you
sound like my wife.
Yeah.
I usually lose those arguments.
Say that again. I missed that.
I usually lose those arguments as well.
Yeah, and you'll lose this one. So now I agree that you should sell that person, right? But I don't agree that they're qualified.
Okay, well that's a conundrum.
I
let me ask you a
sell
question.
people that aren't qualified.
Let's just take a sales coaching offer for an example, because that's what I'm currently selling.
Okay.
Right. If we take that, we can take any offer really, whether we can take a fitness offer, right, or whatever, right? But is 1 month of sales coaching better than no months of sales coaching?
Yes.
Okay. And considering the fact that there's already been money, time, and effort gone into getting that person on a call for the business, and this is a debatable one, is it better to have signed that person or to have not signed that person? Is it better to have taken the money or not taken the money?
I think
I'm not taking refunds into account, because refunds are actually a real rarity. So I don't want to take red herrings, but pausing and downgrading and all that kind of stuff is a real thing, especially when it comes to sales coaching.
Hands down. For the business, better take the money.
So then the qualification questions comes down to me to an ego argument.
Probably.
Like, because if we know that the business benefits, the salesperson benefits, the prospect benefits, even if they don't go all the way through, and they will get something out of it, even if it wasn't what they hoped to, but they're not going to pay the whole thing anyway. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, they figured out, crush it. Worst case scenario, they fall flat on their face. They at least learned a lesson.
Yes, which I'm all about.
Yeah. So in terms of qualification, it almost takes away the need to even have the discussion, because we can agree that the benefit on all sides is there. So the qualification factor comes down to like, does the salesperson think they can do it, which is an ego question, not necessarily like a tangible argument. So do we cater to the ego of the salesperson by allowing them to think that the prospects are unqualified? Is that a productive line of conversation?
No.
Okay. So all prospects are qualified.
You could say that. You could say that, right? Doesn't mean I agree with that.
I win.
Do you? So
7 minutes.
All right. Now,
that's a hard one to get out of. That's difficult because I changed the whole frame towards something that I know you agree with.
Yeah. But I still don't.
I'm happy with myself.
I'll give you that, but I still don't
just
like,
being
fully
a
agree with you. No. And here's why, right? Because now.
Well, we have to define the metric. We have to define what qualified means.
And this was going to be my point. I was going to, well, you kind of ruined it for me now, but I was going to give you my argument and then make you agree with me and then say the reason we both agree with each other is because we did have different perceptions of what qualified means. Because we do, right? Now, let's go into it, right? So for me, like if we allow those people to become qualified, then we are no longer able to make adjustments and changes to the marketing to target higher quality leads that are going to benefit more and therefore increase conversion rates, increase ROIs, and increase the amount of money in advertising that can be spent to help more people. And because you don't define them as unqualified, you can break businesses because of your skill set.
I'll continue to break businesses.
Exactly right. So that is a problem. And going back to your ego, it's like, is it your ego that is getting in the way of you saying that, hey, this person is unqualified? Because I believe they can be unqualified and still be sold. And that comes down to skill set of the salesperson. However, that skill set of the salesperson cannot be a factor in which you run your business. Because it is.
I agree with that. We've had that conversation a few times.
Because you cannot consistently for that person's offer to grow in that person's business to scale. It's great for growth, poor for scaling. So that you can grow your business to a point down going that path of what you believe, but you cannot scale it because it means that to scale, you have to bring on salespeople that are at the exact same skill level of you that will sell those unqualified people all the time, even if they don't fulfill the whole contract.
Yeah.
Which is a problem because it's very difficult to find and to train people to be able to replicate the numbers that you would provide. Therefore, defining people as unqualified and putting that on enables the business owners to fix the marketing, fix funnels to get more appropriate leads in that are easier to sell and that have a better chance of fulfilling their obligations to the contract.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Let's break down what James just did. James did a few things there. He didn't appeal to an authority. So he labeled me as the authority and very good at what I did and said that we can't use that as a metric because it's unreliable, because appealing to my ego is saying that we can't rely on people being as good as you, which I happen to agree with, right? Also, a terminology that we both came up with, but that we can break businesses because we've done it in the past. Mm-hmm. So it's something that we know. But the question is, okay, how I would loop out of that is that like, it's a dangerous game. Now, I think I can have because we've had the conversation before. We're saying like, yes, I will sell them. No, they are not a good lead. Okay. Mm-hmm. So like they are financially poorly qualified. So, but now I said poorly qualified, not unqualified. I was very, very.
I know what you said.
I
let it go so you can make your point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So now I think the system that you brought in was a 1 to 5 of a lead quality, mm-hmm. right? 0 being unqualified. And then there's different gradations of qualification. So like I think we can both agree there's no black and white when it comes to qualification. And as long as we have the objective metrics of we are seeing, yes, we can sell these people. Yes, they benefit from the program. They are somewhat qualified prospects, but we need to have an unemotional, data-driven decision where we are not getting ahead of ourselves. Like when I sold 30 people in the first 2 weeks into Jeremy's program, I was like, we had the conversation going, we probably shouldn't take this as like a good sign because the sales are extraordinarily hard fought. So like, I see what you're saying, but I think as long as, I guess for your perspective is more of like we don't want to break the business and we don't want to give people false sense of securities and saying that your leads are qualified.
Yep.
But I also don't want the sales guys to I want them to believe that they can sell anybody.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, we can go into the fact that I'm really good at objection handling, which I think is pretty true. I think there's some shortcomings in my sales game, but I don't think objection handling is one of them. I can loop people around and get them over the line. Not everybody can do that. But how do you become good at it? You speak to a lot of lower qualified prospects.
Mm-hmm.
So you handle a lot of objections. So it comes down to a few things, right? Like, we're both correct as usual.
I agree.
Right? It comes down to a few things. One, like, I think every prospect that can benefit from a program deserves the opportunity to be sold.
100% agree.
Right? Unless you have an enormous volume of prospects, in which case you need to be more, but that's purely from a capacity point of view. So you can fix that with throwing people at it. Like, but is that beneficial? Maybe not. I think that everyone is sellable. And like, I think that so therefore I think everyone's qualified, because I don't want to sell unqualified people. Like, I have not sold people into Jeremy's program whilst on the phone with them because the commissions they got was like $62 a sale. And I was like, brother, there is no chance in hell you get an ROI from this program.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot sell you into this.
Yep.
Like, this is ridiculous. You can't $3,000 a month. You have to make so many sales. It was like 500 sales or some shit like that. Like, just to break even. It's fucking ridiculous.
We're not mathematicians, we're sales guys.
It's just, was it 50? I don't know. 50 sales? Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, right? 50 times 60 would be 3,000. Yeah. It's a lot, right? So I was like, dude, I just don't like the chances of you being able to make 50 sales a month just to cover this, like, let alone 50 extra on top of what you're already doing. And I told him, I said, if you're willing to learn the skills that you can transition into a different industry so you can make more money, it's a really good prospect for you. But if that's not what you're looking to do right now, let's just table this whole conversation until like 6 months from now when you found a better opportunity. There's differences, right? So like, I don't just want to sell anybody into a program. I want to make sure they can actually get something out of it. But I think just like
my 2 and 3.
Yeah, exactly. So like, that's an unqualified prospect.
Correct.
But I think like anyone who can benefit from it is qualified. They have to be able to get an ROI, and they have to like I'm not going to sell my mom into this program.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't sell. There's no benefit to her. But if there's if there's a tangible benefit from doing the program, and the person can get an ROI, either short term or long term, that is going to benefit them, their life, their family moving forward, then I think it's a good idea to sell that person.
Yeah, so we had a bit of a technical issue there. We were in the middle of making a point, can't figure out exactly what that point was. So in the comments, just send us a message to reiterate that if you didn't understand him, and we'll come back to that. But Matt, I had a question for you. If you have a salesperson on staff, let's say for 10 hours a week, and they're only giving you 10 hours, do you want to fill them up with people that I would call unqualified, but you would call qualified? Or do you want them to have the best quality so that they can get the greatest ROI?
Why isn't one or the other?
Because
it depends where they're at. Depends where they're at.
Only have
like 10. Who are we talking about? Are we talking about A-level people, B-level people, C-level people? Like, where are they at in their sales career?
Let's go with B levels. Put them in.
If they're brand new, I just want to fill them up with everybody. I just want them to have loads of interactions with human beings.
Yeah, I get that.
The more interactions they have, the better. So like, call every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the planet and try and.
You've only got them for 10 hours. If you have 100 leads, do you want to give them the first 10, or do you want to filter them and get them the best 10?
I think it really depends on what you're trying to do. Like, I really
trying to make the most money possible.
Yeah, over what period of time? You know, like
that week.
So I don't think it's a question that's fair, because I don't think you have the ability to do that.
You don't?
No.
Why?
Not unless you're triaging 4 people. So then it's a sales process thing, in which case, like, obviously you're trying to get the best people through, but sometimes we don't do that.
That's true.
Right? So like, sometimes we just go, let's just throw as much spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Sometimes when we have bandwidth issues, like we were talking about before, then we only put the most qualified people through. But we put lower qualified people through if we have bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's 6 to 1 up doesn't the other. It's all contextual and circumstance dependent. So like if I'm trying to get, if I've got someone who's a really, really high level closer, I want them speaking to the most qualified people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like at all times, because that's going to give us the best chance of getting the fastest ROI. Now, if I then go down to the B level person, the A level people taking those people, the B level people can take the people who are lower than that again. The C level people can take the people who are lower than that again. You know what I mean? But as that, the thing is that we're missing in that part of the conversation is like, as the qualification levels drop, the volume should increase. So it's not a case of like, do I want to give you 10 shit leads versus 10 good ones? Like, obviously we want 10 good ones, but like, usually it's like, do you want 10 really good leads or do you want 150 kind of shitty ones?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well,
in that case, I'd take the 150.
Kind of shitty
Actually,
ones.
I'd still probably take the 10 personally because I don't have the time.
Yeah. Well, again, it's all, it's all kind of dependent. So like, I think that from a back-end managerial standpoint, I think that you have to be able to have an objective look at what your lead quality is. From a sales perspective, I think that you need to believe that you need to know that like if someone can benefit from the program, you should pitch them, because like essentially the qualification doesn't usually come down to do we put them in a sales process? Like they're in a sales process, we're there now.
Yeah.
What it comes down to is, do we offer that person a place in the program?
Mm-hmm.
And the bad thing about using like it's an unqualified prospect means that gives a lot of leeway to a salesperson for them to use their ego to dictate who they will and won't try and sell.
Yeah. And I, like, whilst I disagree with you on this point, I in absolutely no manner don't endorse not going after and trying to sell that person that I would define as unqualified. All right.
Do you like selling unqualified prospects?
Sorry? Do I like it?
So you believe in selling unqualified prospects?
Unqualified prospects and what I believe is unqualified for the metrics that I place on them.
Yeah, no, but then how do you tell the difference between people who are actually unqualified? So how do you then delineate? So then do you have a marker of what unqualified is? Like, is there a 0 to 5 unqualified and then a 0 to 5 qualified?
Yeah.
Like, is it 5 all the way down to -5? So
5
like
all the way down to 1.
Okay. So who's at what stage do they become unqualified?
At 3, I would say unqualified. Right.
Okay. So and then at what stage at what stage did you not pitch somebody?
At 1 or 2.
Okay. That's difficult to do retrospectively.
It is, yes.
I think I actually disagree with you on this. Like genuinely.
That's fine. So
I don't know how you do that. I think there has to be a line in the sand of who you pitch and who you don't.
Yeah. So
there has to be a line.
Like full clarity and it'll make sense to you, right? So what I would consider unqualified is 3. Right? I would consider 4, 5 on that scale qualified. You would consider 3 qualified. Right? I wouldn't. I would still pitch 3. I wouldn't pitch 1 and 2. You would consider 1 and 2 unqualified. 1 and 2 slip through the cracks, whereas somehow they got a hold of your booking link and booked in a call with you, and they have no idea why the fuck they're on that call. That's a 1. A 2 is they have a minor level of interest in what you're doing, but we're never going to.
Do they have a level of interest?
Yeah, it's still interest, right? And those 2s, you wouldn't find it appropriate to pitch them and would end the conversation earlier. 3 is those people that you mentioned. They can find the resources that they can sell the car and they can do it. Whether or not they go through the whole program is questionable. I would define them as unqualified. You would define them as still qualified. Then 4 is they're pretty qualified. They tick most of the boxes. 5 is they're super qualified. You should never not sell them. And I come at that, and that's where our minor differences is settled, is on that level of 3. Whilst I would define them as unqualified, but I wouldn't not pitch them. My whole perception of what qualified is to go through a process of optimizing that so that we can have the majority of calls move higher towards that level 4 and 5 as opposed to 3s. That doesn't mean you don't go for it, but that's just where I draw the line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And from that standpoint. And I think if you're measuring people on your standards, it makes it harder to get those metrics in order to be able to grow and scale a business, because your standards are far higher than what they should be for the average person because of your skill level.
People should lift their fucking games, James.
Maybe they should, but that's a whole different conversation. Because if we lived in a perfect world, they would, but we don't.
So what have we come down to?
The only real disagreement that we have is what we define as unqualified. And I look at unqualified from a different set of lenses to what you do, because I don't think there's any benefit in labeling those threes as qualified for the purpose of betterment of marketing and conversion rates and ROI.
All right. Well, I think it's a good place to stop, because I think what I'd like to see is a bunch of comments and email in the podcast as to what you think. And then, maybe we'll do another podcast where we talk about this, where we go through some of the answers that we got.
That'd be interesting.
I think
it would be very interesting.
It was an interesting one. It was a very interesting one. Yeah.
What do you guys think is a qualified prospect? You kind of changed your mind towards the end there, but didn't want to.
No, like my core positioning is very much like, I think if someone can benefit from it, I think we should pitch them. My only concern with your point is that I don't want people pitching unqualified prospects. So I'm very hesitant to label someone as unqualified, but then still have them be pitched.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it provides a good. So I would go like, the only metric that I can, I guess, ethically, the only metric that I really want to worry about is, can they really benefit from the program? And if the answer to me is yes, then I'm like, sweet, it's fair game, let's do it. If they can't benefit, then I have no interest in selling them, even if they have the money. So that's not the metric. The metric isn't the money or the need, or the metric is, will this enrich someone's life if they do it? If the answer is yes, sweet, let's get them amongst it. If the answer is no, that's really, to me, all that matters, because then I can make sure that everyone that I sell into the program is a benefit to the program, and the program is a benefit to them. You know what I mean? So that to me is a really easy black and white metric that, as a sales guy, I can use in order to make sure that I think I'm doing the right thing. And it leaves me very little wiggle room to really have my ego fuck around in order to be able to kind of really, oh, that guy wasn't qualified. Well, what, he gave you an objection, princess. Fuck off at that, which is my major concern when it comes to the whole qualified, unqualified debate.
Yeah, but and also for reference, we're ideally qualifying these people before they get to a sales call, so it takes out that level of ego.
Yeah, exactly.
In a perfect world, right?
They're doing a two-step,
which is also why it's like, oh, okay, well, do we need that?
All right, good stuff. It was an interesting podcast.
That was fun.
Different.
It's probably a short one.
Good. Oh, yeah, fuck, man, we've got enough shit on to do.
Yes, I agree.
Hour 2 hour podcast. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, check out the YouTube channel. Links to the closing code will be below. You can check it out. $25 for the first week, $50 a week, week to week after that. You get a whole bunch of good stuff, from a portal to access to one-on-one sales coaching with our old mate Jimmy, and weekly role plays or daily role plays that you can be a part of. So it's fucking stupid. If you're not in there, you're a moron. I'm just going to flat out say
sometimes they're not even role plays. They're more conversations like this when people ask questions.
Yeah. So if you want to get amongst it, be part of the Sales Sniper closing code community, just give us $25, you piece of shit. You are an unqualified prospect if you don't buy this offer.
However, you should be pitched, because this will be of benefit to you.
I just pitched you. Right? If you don't buy, you're unqualified.
That's it.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
See ya.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.